Shalom. It's your brother Malcolm coming at you with another lesson, giving all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh Bashem Shai. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS, who are worthy of double honors. Salutations to all you Akim out there that are doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking your lives and your freedom to do so, and the confusion of faith brothers who are joined unto us. And salutations also to the Akwaf that are actually listening and learning. To you I say Shalom. Just a lesson, going into a history book that I've actually had quite a few requests for verbally, with different comments on videos, because I've mentioned the book so many times, and the spirit actually jumped on me to do it today. So without any further ado, this is unscripted. This is totally through the spirit. But I want to get into this book a little bit and do some more lessons to it, because there's some pretty good history in here. But this is a book that was given to me by a former client, a future concubine. All right, and it's called A History of Weapons. Okay, and and it tells you clearly that that Esau, by the sword he shall live. As Genesis 27:40. Meaning, when you're living by the edge of the sword, that means you're not earning anything, you're taking everything. And then as a result of that, you rewrite history and you lie about everything. I mean, you can't take over people and tell them the truth about who they are, or tell them the truth about who you are. And then you glorify yourself and make yourself the hero, when the truth of the fact you're really the villain. But let's just go into this book. I'm gonna open it up to page 30, and it's talking about the socketed axe. If you notice, if you see the image, all right, which when you look at the socketed axe, it says it was first come into play about 300 BCE. All right, which means before the Christ era. But it's not the history about the axe that's I found interesting. Because here it said the axe would fall apart in no time, often in mid swing, and the axe head would go sailing off. All right, Sumerians grew weary of the watching spray axe blades fly into bystanders' faces. Then they have the image of the axe flying toward his own countrymen, toward his own behind him. He's trying to attack ahead and ends up killing the man behind him. Well, there's actually in Joshua, which is where this image came from and what it was talking about. Because sometimes in battle, you could accidentally kill your own, someone who's unskilled or foolish, man. Or it's just a plain accident, man. You could be riding a horse and trample over someone's child that darts out into the road, man. And the Israelites had laws for such instances. They had refuge cities. And it's funny, too, that Native Americans also had refuge cities, because the anthropologist James Adair, he wrote about the Gadites, all right, the Reubenites, the people of North, Central, and South America, but mainly he was here up in North America, but he wrote about the people who were here and how they were keeping Hebrew customs, all right, because James Adair had come to the terms that these people had to be of the lost tribes of Israel. And one of the things that they had was multiple wives. They kept the Passover, and they had refuge cities. So let's read about it in Joshua, all right. This is Joshua, the 20th chapter, starting at verse 1 through 3, and it says, "The Lord also spake unto Joshua, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, Appoint out for you cities of refuge, whereof I spake unto you by the hand of Moses, that the slayer that killeth any person unaware," see, killing is not the same as murder. All right, it's two different things, and that's a big misconception. When people start reading about the commandments and things of that nature, you'll hear Christians say, "Well, thou shall not kill." No, in Ecclesiastes 3 times, it tells you it's a time to kill. All right, when you're killing someone, in the name of the Lord in a holy battle, or killing someone defending the Lord's people or the Lord's interests, it's actually a righteous thing. All right? The Edomites took this and warped it, and they did murder. All right? Because they're not the Lord's people. But anyway, it says, verse 3, the slayer that killeth any person unawares and unwittingly may flee thither, and they shall be your refuge from the avenger of blood. So basically, it's a city where you're free from the avenger of blood. No avenger of blood can kill you while you're in this city, unless he will be found contrary to the law. Okay, that's basically what that's telling you, man. If you watch those recent movies, those John Wick movies, all right, about all the different assassins and their codes, man, these people were straight up murderers and killers. Okay, but they abided by a code, and anyone who went against that code was put to death, man. And they have places of refuge. And even if the people agreed that you are someone who needs and deserves to die, everyone agreed that if you were in the particular place, say if this sitting at this table was a place of refuge, no matter what your crimes were, what you had done, pertaining to the movie, of course, you could sit here and you would be safe as long as you're here. All right, once you leave out the door, it's a whole different thing. And so that, where do you think they got that from? We always tell you that these Hollywood directors study the Bible thoroughly, man. Okay? Let's go on to another point in this that we find in this book. Here on page 55, it says, hemlock and sodomy. All right? Party with the Greeks. All right? Because according to the Bible, wickedness came into the world profusely. You know, savagely. When the Edomites, Macedonians, who began to refer to themselves as Greeks after they conquered Greece and reigned over the Greeks, because that's what Esau does. Every time they take over a land, they refer to themselves as those people. They took over France, they call themselves French now. You know, they take over America, they call themselves American. They took over Australia, they call themselves Australians. That's what they do. All right. Psalms 49:11 say that they name lands for their own names, and that's what they do. All right. And they hijack other people's heritage and make it their own. And one of the main reasons is that their Edomites have been trying to hide the fact that they're Edomites for thousands of years, and the fact that we know who the Edomites are, that they are the sons of perdition. This is how you know that their time is almost up, and look what's happening in the world. Okay. But let's read an insert from this book. And it reads, many people consider ancient Greece the cradle of civilization. All right. And that's based upon the falsified, uplifted heroism of Alexander the Greek. All right. The twisting of history. All right. Instead of telling the truth. All right. That he was a rapist, a murderess, and a sodomite, and just was a beast. Okay, kind of like how American history is toward it. How they don't tell you that the Star Spangled Banner is actually a celebration of the death and destruction of the Negro slaves and the hirelings. All right, because it was a poem that was directly aimed at the destruction. Instead of celebrating the defeat of the Britons, the other Edomites, he was actually celebrating the destruction of the so-called Negro. Okay, because you know Esau doesn't teach you anything in his fool system. All right, and that whole third verse, when you keep singing it, when it talks about no refuge for the hireling or the slave from the gloom of the grave. All right, you have to understand that the British hired. The British hired or absorbed 6,000 Negroes into their armies to fight with them in the War of 1812 or 14. I forget the exact year, but it's right around that time. All right, when they stormed and took over Washington. All right, when this guy Keyes wrote the Star Spangled Banner, it was about that battle, that great battle that had happened there, and when the sun came up, the flag was still standing. This was a battle in Baltimore from the same said war. Okay, so this guy was basically writing about these people who died, these so-called Negroes who actually were absorbed into the British Army and were promised sanctuary, and that they wouldn't be returned to their owners. So basically, they fought for their freedom. And I have to quite frankly say, if you had me in chains and gave me the opportunity to fight my enemies to be free and to extract revenge for said freedom, I would have fought too. Who wouldn't? This is supposedly the home of the bravery. No, this is the home of the rapist, the murderer, the thief, and the coward who fights you long distance with weapons of superiority. All right, because he lacks the courage and the skill to fight you up close. Okay, because you have to remember, the gun is the weapon of a coward, created by a coward. Okay, so but like I said, the celebration of Alexander the Great, they're not what they don't share with you is that they brought in perverseness, and that they're not Greeks. They're actually Edomites. And I'm going to read an account in the Bible to prove it. But let's first read the history in this book of what the author had to say about the Greeks. And it says, many people consider the ancient Greece the cradle of civilization. The Greeks produced countless philosophers, all right, which they're not telling you that those philosophers were mainly the Israelites who were scattered among them, as we could get in the history that's written in the Apocrypha, when the Jews became Hellenized, all right. So their philosophers were mainly those Hellenized Jews, Israelites, all right, who were going by Greek names and speaking the Greek tongue. All right. It says the Greeks produced countless philosophers. They were avid sailors. They participated in direct democracy, demo meaning demon, cracy meaning rule. So rule of the demons. That's what your democracy means. They practically invented the art of literature. But more importantly, ancient Greece was a cradle of good times. All right. That would be the Edomite persuasion on it for sure. All right. The philosopher Epicurus encouraged his brethren to seek pleasure above all else. And what that sounds like, a do it as thy wilt doctrine. Okay. The Greeks responded by creating a drinking party, also known as a symposium. All right. All right. And it says they also ate 4 meals a day. All while lying on their sides. They could shred on a lute. All right. They cranked out erotic sculptures like nobody business, because the porn industry actually kind of started with them. They would actually make penises and things of that nature. All right. Well, you know what? I won't say it started with them, because the Hamites, so-called Africans, were doing it before them. But they definitely revolutionized it. How about that? All right. It says they cranked out erotic sculptures like nobody business. They turned warfare into partying, getting wicked gay with each other in between battles. All right. Just watch Spartacus. All right. Watch those series of Spartacus. You talking about getting wicked gay. All right. In between battles. Sometimes even during battles. So these men would actually have sex with their fallen victims, man, or with their dying victims. Okay. Your spears is my aspis. It says, just how gay is the ancient Greece? All right. This is a question scholars have pondered for centuries. For starters, the Greeks transformed the act of warfare into a group activity involving hundreds of ripped, sweaty dudes piling on top of each other in a phalanx formation, as if it was known as a big symmetrical square comprised of several rows of infantrymen. The soldiers, known as hoplites, locked arms and fought with their spears erect and their shields and aspices touching each other. You know what? I'm just going to stop right there. All right. This is First Maccabees. All right. The first chapter, I'm going to read down to verse 9. I've read this many times. All right. And it happened that after Alexander, the son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Kittim, all right, which is somewhere around Italy, if I'm not mistaken, has smitten Darius, the king of the Persia and the Medes. So he smit the Persian, the king of the Persian and Medes, who was a different race from himself. All right, that he reigned in his stead. So this Edomite, Macedonian, all right, and you can go reference the book, Who Was Esau Edom, all right, or the book, The Roman Kingdom of the Edomite and the Roman Empire of the Edomite by William Beeston, Cambridge scholar William Beeston. The Greeks and the Romans were indeed Edomites. Okay. So it says that he reigned the first in his stead. That he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. All right, and then there's an account too, in the book of never mind, I won't even go there. That's just start causing confusion. I have to explain something else. Salakia. And made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. So he went throughout what you refer to as Europe and Asia, slaying the kings. All right. And that's what they did. That's how they took over. And that was the fulfillment of, or partially fulfillment of, by the sword thou shalt live. All right. And went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch as the earth was quiet before him. All right. Whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up, and he gathered a mighty stronghold and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So he parted his kingdom to his 4 generals, man. Seleucus, Ptolemy, Cassander, and Lycimius. Ptolemy ended up getting Egypt. So you had the Edomite presence in Egypt, in North Africa, in Northeast Africa at that point, and hence the reason why Edomites like to teach that the Egyptians were white, because they teach history of the Egyptians from the point when Ptolemies took over. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule, one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, and so that their sons after them many years, and evils will multiply in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked root. So wickedness came into the earth with the Edomites. So with that, I'm going to say all praises, glory, and honor be unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and Shalom.